got CVS in the morning. This one should go ahead and show some interesting signs as we go into healthcare sector. Look at that nice little move over here. Boeing, this one right here is one of those companies that is very finicky, and sometimes I wonder how they still in business because they do all types of craziness. Carvana, I still don't know what they do. Like Microsoft from the Mag 7, looking like they built Meta that I thought would have been 800 like months ago. Starbucks had fired their CEO. They're trying to recover off of that debacle. Nah, that's this is a very interesting ticker because this right here. Good morning, my neighbors. Welcome to another episode of that BYTTT. Before you take the trade, the one that you know and love, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button. That way it lets your friends and family know that I bring in some really good content. That said, we got a lot of work to do, so let's start with NQ. NQ has done a massive little move to the upside. As I told y'all before, we could have got to that 26,000, and we did. And right now, they finally are looking like they're going to go ahead and pull it back a little bit, but we'll see how the market opens because anything can happen. Looking at this cross on the MACD and the stochastic, we could continue, and that could bring us to like 26,200, 26,400, somewhere around there. All right, let's go ahead and look at CL. CL got to the second order block, and it's struggling to get back above there. Could we get another fall, and that's going to be give us the momentum to get us back to $50 oil? That'll be very interesting. Let's go ahead and get into gold. As I explained, folks, listen, I'm telling you this right now. The market is not hard to read. You just got to have certain techniques, and you have to have certain disciplines so that way you can make sure you know what you are going to do. Not saying know what you're doing, because knowing what you're doing, it could be very detrimental to your trading, but knowing how is going to be key, right? And this right here is a nice little extension. After we had a bearish momentum here, we had another test of that. They really toyed with this area until now we're falling through. I'm looking for a bounce somewhere around 38.59, so be prepared. Silver has broken out of its order block too, but it already got really close to this 50-day moving average. So there's no guarantee that we're going to get gold to get there, but if it did, you might get an extension into like 44.690 on silver. But if it holds under that level, then that means we get a break of our 50-day moving average, and that could make more gold drop. All right, we got British pound is trying to go ahead and continue that to the downside, which the market kind of needs for it to make the drop on the market. But if we get a nice little bounce on the British pound, because we kind of detached away from yesterday, if you really think about it, because British pound usually rides with the market. But if we get ourselves a little bit of a continuation, and this is an inside bar, that means that should be a reversal. But if they engulf it, we go right back down again. So this is going to be very fun to watch. Looking at Bitcoin, we had a massive push to the downside coming back as they trying to get back above 117,000, which is one of my targets. It looks like it's getting a little weak. I wanted them to test this to let me know how many bears are here, but it looked like the bears are like, no, we're not going to give you that. So be prepared. This is the Russell. The Russell is doing its job. Be smart. Don't go ahead and chase it here. I think people are going to go ahead and pour into the small caps, but be patient. Find a good entry. And then right here is the infamous, undeniable force of nature, the US dollar. And you can kind of see we're still building up inside of there, which we are kind of following suit a little bit with the market. So somebody's lying. So be prepared. You already know there is going to be some interest rate information that's coming out tomorrow. And that's probably why the market is in the middle of a stalemate to a certain degree. But anyways, We'll leave it as such. All right, so if you don't know how the show works, we're going to go ahead and look at the earnings cycle, because this is going to be a very interesting one as we go into it. All right, so let's look at today. We have our sales. DHI, interesting. I like DHI from a from a chart standpoint, not the actual company. They're a unique individual. What we cover? Let us talk. Actually, I forgot. I am a little tardy to the party, so let me get into it. Okay, so we got some 6 o'clock. So we got a couple of things. We got UPS, for example. UPS did halfway decent on their earnings. Come on, get out of there. Let's fix that. And then I can squeeze this down. Oops, too far. And that looks good. All right, so UPS. We have UPS that is making such a little bit of a massive move to the upside, especially coming off its 89 order block. It did flash 100 for a little bit. We could kind of see they did a decent job on their earnings. Massive move to the upside here. That's a big surprise. And then it just pushed right on up. So look for UPS to kind of give a little bit of a pullback, but I think this is where it's supposed to be, above that $100 level. What else we got? We got SoFi, my baby SoFi. All right, so we got up into, oh, look at that, getting into that $31, $31. That's what it looks like. Let's see if it can hold that level coming into the New York session. Then coming up, also we got like Ecolab. We got DHI. I like that company. PayPal, kind of covered a little bit of what's going on with PayPal. Oh, look at PayPal. Nice little massive move back up to that upside. I wonder, oh, they ain't even released it yet, and it's already up here. I think this is just people being preemptive, so just be patient with that. RCL, this is Royal Caribbean. A lot of good things happen with Royal Caribbean. I think a lot of it is, look at that. I think a lot of it is priced in because they had a great summer. I feel like I missed that ride a little bit, but you can kind of see very strong move to the upside. Needs a pullback. Maybe get under that 300 for a little bit to 281, and then when the earnings release, gives us a nice little pop. So keep an eye on that. 930. We got Bloom Energy. Kind of covered this before. Very solid company in itself. If we can go ahead and hold on to the uptrend, we did kind of break a micro trend, but for the most part, we're still on this uptrend. You can get Bloom Energy to retest that 125. EXE, good company. What else can we cover? Visa. Visa is solid. Cake, this is Cheesecake Factory, building a nice little solid base, but the restaurant industry has gotten beaten up. Holla at the people over at Eat, which is Chili's, and they've been getting themselves beat up as well. Massive drop off coming in from there, and then you got yourself like CMG. Oops, wrong button. Let's get this right. You got companies like CMG, whenever one's pull up, that, you know, they've just been down, down, right? So just be patient with that. As far as tomorrow, and like I said, this earnings cycle is deep. You already know how this game goes. We got CVS in the morning. This one should go ahead and show some interesting signs as we go into healthcare sector. Look at that nice little move over here. Oh yeah, this thing's riding. If you're part of my inner circle, we've already covered a lot when it comes out of CVS. CVS is one of those that just kind of moves when it starts to. Verizon, kind of following the same track record as AT&T, very non-innovative. It was a little overpriced for a little bit. Competition's gotten better around them. Shout out to T-Mobile. And yeah, this one's just been beat up quite a bit. It used to be a staple for dividends, but people just 10% will be about $3.90. 1% will be 39 cents. So it's not too bad. I should attract some shareholders for the dividend side. I know I just kind of told you about Eat right here. It's been getting its butt whooped. Probably waiting for that earnings cycle. Boeing. This one right here is one of those companies that is very finicky, and sometimes I wonder how they're still in business because they do all types of craziness. Negative EPS on their point here. They get government contracts because they're the only one. Look at that EPS. Do you want to invest into that? Ugh. Disturbing. As they're cleaning up a lot of their flaws, regulatory rules, and everything else. But again, they get really, really good government contracts, so people still speculate on this thing. Let's see, Etsy got kicked off the S&P 500, if I'm not mistaken, and it's been trying to rise back up ever since. So that's the morning. At night, we got ourselves Google. All right, Google has been rallying something vicious. A little upset at myself because I had it at like 120 at one point and I let it go, and then when we got to 150 I was like, oh, maybe we're going to drop even further because Trump tariffs, and that kind of spearheaded this whole entire move. But hey, once a mistake, just learn from them. That's all. Carvana, I still don't know what they do. Like, the car industry has these exorbitant prices, and right now it needs to kind of pull back. But unfortunately, companies like Carvana still making money, so they're not going to drop their prices. They're still making money. So shout out to the economy. The economy is so-called strong. I don't know how you feel about that. Anyways, moving on. We got eBay. eBay is trying to make a nice little move to the upside. I got a W here, or double H. This thing is looking like it really wants to get powerful. And now, it's not no Amazon, but they do have a marketplace, so we'll see what happens with that. Oh, another one that everybody's probably going to be looking for is Microsoft for the Mag 7. Looking like they built a base right here on that 500. I don't think it's going to get below 500. And then you got Meta that I thought would have been 800 like months ago. We got to like 796, but it struggled to get there. So I wonder if this is a little bit of a warning sign that my Meta has some weakness over there. What else we got? We got ourselves, no, not great company. I think that was Sprouts. Starbucks had fired their CEO. So they're trying to recover off of that debacle. Now that's this is a very interesting ticker, because this right here was CEO gap, and I remember playing this and I was like, oh, we're gonna bounce right off the CEO gap, and that's when I got up into this upper register. But so much people were selling, and you could kind of see, look at that price action. They did not like that CEO. We had a solid rising wedge right here, and when that rising wedge failed, perfect reversal back down to the downside and filled the CEO gap. And when they asked the CEO questions, I think he panicked, and that's why he is gone. And yeah, here's Starbucks, kind of like back to where they started, and they're gonna have to figure it out. What else? Boot Barn, CMG already kind of covered. ServiceNow into this AI space and packaged software space. Very stagnant for the most part. They could really benefit for a split, but don't turn into CMG. You've seen what happens when you oversplit. Anyways, that said, I want to say thank you very much for participating with DYTTT. There was a lot of information on here. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button, and we can go ahead and get you all the information that you need. And if you want to be part of my inner circle, so that way I can go ahead and give you all the gems, because this is all the free stuff. Imagine what I cover on the paid stuff. All right, go ahead and DM me JD_the_great on Instagram or on Discord. You have a great day. Bye-bye.